All right, part 7. Let's wrap this up. This one has to do with the early church. Now, I think this is one of the issues with this post-trib pre-wrath view, is that they don't believe that the 7 churches in Revelation chapters 2 and 7 has anything more to do with just 7 churches happen to be in Asia. It doesn't have to do with the time frame of the church. It has nothing to do with where you are on your Christian walk. Like, you could be in the Laodicean church right now, or the Church of Philadelphia, or you're actually one of the other churches, based on your mindset and your belief and how you actually grew up as a Christian, right? So when they bring up the early church, the first thing that comes to mind is the first church. Was it Ephesus? And that church, there's good things said about it, but it said that it also left its first love. So when people like to bring up the early church, I take it with a grain of salt, because not to mention that the stuff that they have is stuff that's preserved of their writings. You got to take into consideration that at this time there's a lot of persecution, and they would kill off true Christians and false Christians alike, right? And they would burn their writings, right? But not to mention that you do have early church writings about a pre-trib rapture, right? So you can still find that stuff from early church writings, from their sermons, some of them that have been newly translated. I wish I could remember the YouTube user who actually brings a lot of those up. There is one who is Authorized Version Bible Believers Ministry, AVBBM, something like that, I think is the YouTube username. He brought up a few of them, but I can't remember the exact name, but it's something like that. And there's another guy who's brought up some of them, and I can't remember his name off the top of my head, but I have seen him do live streams with Generation 2434. I just wish I could remember his name. He's an older guy. He got some gray hair there. Maybe that will help you. He wears glasses. So if you watch Generation 2434, you probably know who I'm talking about. But yeah, there's writings there from the early church about there being a pre-tribulation rapture. So, yeah. But like they said in this video, the movie, where we're getting to point 7 here, they said ultimately the Bible is our source of authority. And it's like, exactly. So that's what we're going to rely on. So yeah, you can bring up, hey, early church and even the majority. It doesn't matter if you can get the whole world to agree with you. It doesn't mean you have the correct interpretation. It doesn't mean that you're right, right? So this appeal to majority is not an appeal to truth, right? Because the appeal to a majority does not mean truth. Because just because the majority believes something doesn't mean that it's true, right? These are not synonyms. They're not connected. Just because a majority believes something doesn't mean it is true. A majority can believe a lie, right? So have an appeal to a majority of, these people believe that. So what? Because you can also probably look at the majority of some of their beliefs that were obviously wrong, as they contradict Jesus and the apostles in their writings from the scriptures, right? You could probably find that a majority of them hold some doctrines that are definitely contradicting to the scriptures. So, yeah, right? So this appeal at the end, this last one, the early church problem, to me it just sounds like a Catholic argument, right? Where instead of using the scriptures, let's use something else, because we can't use the scriptures to really defend our point. Not saying they didn't try to use the scriptures to defend their point, but obviously they misused the scriptures to defend themselves, misapplying passages like I brought up from Matthew 24, Mark 13, and Luke 17, misapplying them to the church and the rapture for some reason, instead of to Israel and when Jesus returns, right? When he actually comes to reign for 1,000 years here on the earth. So, yeah. with all that being said, that's part 7. And I think I'm going to do a part 8 just to do a conclusion, to wrap all this stuff up. Just because, why not? I think there's a couple of things I would like to add to this anyway. So thank you for watching the series all the way through. I'm going to do one more part just to do like a conclusion, to wrap all this up. All right? So stay tuned for that one. I'll probably clear this page so I can just write things on this. And yeah. So thank you again for your support and watching all the way through. There'll be one more part. Thank you so much for watching. Take care, and I'll see you in part 8.